cord is okay. So the next thing that you do is remove the cord by pulling it off of there, lay it back down, and pull the circuit board off. Now, there are, inside the controller, there are 3 silicon membranes that reside in there that you can actually pull these out, set them aside. Sometimes dirt or food will get underneath them, so as I take them out, I make sure they're clean. I just kind of rub them off. The best thing to do would be to get a Q-tip and rub them off with a Q-tip. So we pull those off, make sure that they're clean. I usually wipe them on the towel. Okay, and now there are some buttons inside. Now notice on the buttons that there are some latches here, some holes where the levers from the buttons fit in. There is a correct direction that the button will fit in, and if you try to reverse the button, it'll still fit in. But some controllers I've seen where one side of this is larger than the other, so you can't get it turned around. I think in this one it's interchangeable. But this also comes out, and it might be a good idea to pull that out and to clean that while you're in there, and to tip the button over. Now, all of this can be washed by just immersing it in warm, soapy water, and you'll be able to clean it off. Before you put it together, again, make sure that it's clean and dry. Now, what I have here, so that you can see, is I have a clear bowl of warm water that I put just a little dishwashing soap in. I'll use that to clean these parts with. So what I usually do is immerse the parts in the warm water, and even the top, if it's unusually dirty, put that in there, and remove the screws from the bottom. Sometimes they're a little tricky to get them out. You have to kind of push hard. 6 screws. 4, 6. Put that in there too, and let them start to soak. Okay. Now, if we flip the circuit board over, you'll notice that there are some contacts on the circuit board that are where you make contact. As you'll notice that this is the exact layout of the front panel. We have up, down, left, right, select, start, A, and B. Now, it's very easy for food to get down into these, so what I do is I just take a cotton swab and clean the top of these. Usually you'll see large chunks of food or dust, dirt, pet hair, something like that down inside. Okay? Now, check for any kind of break. Sometimes I get these in where they're cracked. Now, one thing that you want to do is make sure when you get the controller apart, make sure that all the wires are contacted properly. The way that you do that, unfortunately, you have to have a part for that. If you take apart a Nintendo, which I will show you later, you will have where the controller plugs into the main control deck. There's a little jack and wire assembly that goes on the end of this, and I've already got one here that I'm going to show you, but you may want to use one to troubleshoot controllers. Now, I will show you how to get one of these, to take one of these out a little later on, but for the sake of discussion right now, let me just show you how to work this. You insert that into the jack, and now the color here, 99% of the time, is the same color here. And I'm not sure what the camera angle is here. Using a voltmeter, you can check to see that the cord is correct. So I'm going to put this on. I have a voltmeter that has continuity check. That means that whenever there's a dead short between the two leads, this will give an audible beep. It's a nice feature to have on any meter. So you don't have to look up. So what you do is you take your meter and you touch it to the yellow, and the yellow on this end, and you should get an audible beep. Work your way down, making sure that you get a beep on each one of the wires. And lastly, we have white. White you usually have to flip over both sides to get to. Okay, so now we've checked out, in this particular case, we've checked out the cable. We know that the cable is okay. If the cable were not okay, it's usually a result of, as I said earlier, a bite or a break or a tear in the cable. If you have two choices, you can replace the cable with another cable, usually off of a junk controller, or you can find a supplier of the 5-strand cable and replace the cable with the connector on either end, connector and controller on the end, or you have the choice of just shortening it and resoldering this end, which is usually the choice that I make. What I do is let's say that the cut were to occur here, right here, I would simply cut the wire before that, strip it back a couple of inches, as you see here, desolder this end right here, and pull it out and shorten the cable. And I'll do that for you in just a moment and show you how to do that. The other thing that you can do, if the cable all ohms out correctly and you get continuity through the cable, then chances are that it's the 4021 chip. It's a shift register, a serial parallel shift register. And usually that's what goes wrong. If the cable checks out properly, as we've just shown you, then the next thing to check is the chip. And the chips are so inexpensive. This one happens to be a Motorola chip, an MC14021. And you can get that from most supply houses. Pull these out now that they're rinsed off, and set them down and let them start to dry out for reassembly in just a moment. Okay. Now I'm going to take the water and put it back in the sink and get rid of it. Now if you've determined that the chip needs to be replaced or the cord needs to be shortened, what you'll need next is you'll need a soldering iron. And I like to have a clean sponge to keep the tip of it clean. You'll need a method of desoldering, either a solder vac, solder sucker, or solder wick, and then you'll need some solder to replace that, and you'll need the spare chip. So I'm going to give you a moment to go round those up. I'm going to go ahead and plug my soldering iron in so that it starts warming up. Okay? I'll let that warm up. I have a special soldering station that I place here so that the soldering iron doesn't fall down. So I'm going to pause the video and put in the soldering station and show you how to replace one of those chips and also shorten the wire. Okay, what I like to do is use a board, a special board here, that if I burn it, if I scratch it or something, it won't hurt. I can throw this away, and that way I don't mar my workbench. And then also I have the solder holder attached. Sometimes the cord gets caught on something as I draw my arm back, and this way it doesn't get pulled away. I also have a clean tip here. So I've now folded up my parts. I'm going to set the parts gently over here to the side and let them start drying. I'm going to take my 6 screws. I'm going to take my 6 screws and put them over here so that they don't get lost. And now I'm going to hang this up and let it start to dry. Now, as I mentioned earlier, in addition to